Plus, talking trash at the state fair. We catch up with Plymouth's composting queen. Plus, a Golden Valley man's aha moment.
Well, it's an electric vehicle, and you could never pedal this ever if you wanted to.
His invention that he hopes will transform lives. But first, anticipation builds in Brooklyn Center for a long-awaited grand opening. 12 News starts right now. The reincarnation of Brookdale Mall is nearly complete. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Renslow.
And I'm Mike Johnson. The new Shingle Creek Crossing debuts September 12th when Walmart opens its doors. And as Delane Cleveland reports now, employees are excited for what it will bring to Brooklyn Center.
We got 12 days left until our grand opening.
Situated on the site of the old Brookdale Mall,
we're pulling, we're boxing, we're binning, we're, breaking pallets.
Sits the nearly ready centerpiece of what is now called Shingle Creek Crossing.
It's a state-of-the-art store. I mean, it's one of the newest Walmarts in the country.
A new Walmart that will employ 350 people once it's up and running.
About 90% of the staff that we brought in are from these parts.
People such as Brandon Holman.
I went to Brooklyn Center High School, graduated from there.
And Erica Craig.
I went up to Brookdale frequently as a teenager and an adult.
Both of these new Walmart employees are familiar with Brooklyn Center's retail struggles.
Especially being stuck in between Maple Grove and Roseville, where they have shopping centers and restaurants out of this world, and then Brooklyn Center is kind of stuck in the middle with not that much to draw people in.
And when Brookdale went away, it left a hole in this area.
Now people hope to fill that hole with this $100 million redevelopment project of the shuttered shopping mall. Optimism certainly runs high that the store will spur economic development.
I thought, well, this is excellent. This is a great economy booster. It's great for people like me or others that are looking for jobs.
I think Walmart will definitely add to that and bring back some business to this great city.
The new era to see whether that happens begins in 2 weeks.
We're going to be good neighbors, and we're not just here to run business. We're here to help rebuild Brookdale.
Today, Brooklyn Center officials told me that at the grand opening celebration, they will also reveal signs that show who some of Walmart's neighbors are going to be. Also, Mike and Alex, job seekers are still in luck. They've hired about 280 people so far, but they want to add about 60 more before the grand opening. So there you go.
It's been a long wait for something there.
Yes, it has.
All right, thanks. Mm-hmm.
A Brooklyn Center man faces a felony drug charge after police discovered a marijuana growing operation. Michael Cans was arrested on Wednesday when police say they found nearly 50 marijuana plants and growing equipment in the suspect's basement. According to the criminal complaint, police also found nearly 3 pounds of marijuana in jars and tubs in the house, along with more than $3,000 in cash.
A fire that went to 3 alarms this week in Brooklyn Park was caused by children playing with a lighter. That's according to Brooklyn Park fire investigators. Smoke from Tuesday's fire could be seen from several miles away. The fire destroyed the garage at the home on 78th Avenue. Firefighters battled the fire for more than an hour, but were able to save most of the house. Red Cross is assisting a family of 10 who lived at the home.
Area Republicans are headed back to Minnesota after a National Party convention that produced at least one unscripted moment. Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney accepted his party's nomination at the gathering in Florida, but it was actor-director Clint Eastwood's appearance and his conversation with an empty chair meant to represent President Obama that lit up social media sites. Local delegate and Republican National Committeeman Jeff Johnson called the episode, quote, a little goofy, but he believes most people thought it was refreshing to see something off script.
As a guy who's in party leadership, you're kind of on edge just a little bit, thinking, is he going to say something extremely inappropriate? Because you just you really didn't know. But and I'm sure other people were thinking that too. But I think overall, most of the people in the hall were just having fun, and I think it went just fine.
The Democrats hold their national convention next week in Charlotte.
An August rise in gasoline prices apparently won't put the brakes on Labor Day weekend travel.
AAA estimates that more than 28 million Americans will drive more than 50 miles this holiday weekend, and that road trip won't be cheap. You got a big trip, it sounds like.
Yes, we're heading to Chicago for my mom's 80th birthday party.
Take, for example, that man's road trip to Chicago and back this weekend. Friday, the metro average for a gallon of regular unleaded is $3.75. Round trip, it's about 820 miles from Minneapolis to Chicago and back. With a vehicle that gets around 22 miles per gallon, that adds up to $140 total in gas alone. Still, despite the higher costs, holiday travel is expected to reach its highest volume since 2008, before the recession hit. Drivers we spoke with said it would take a bigger jump in prices to affect their driving habits.
If it, got up to, I don't know, $4 or maybe $5, I'd really be more careful of what we do, what we drive, where we go.
A Golden Valley man skipped the shuttle and took a one-of-a-kind ride to the state fair. Rich Cronfield invented what he calls the Ratmobile. He describes it as an electric motorcycle that's covered to protect you from Minnesota winters. He wanted to find a way to bike to work all year long. There are pedals inside the vehicle that you can use to simulate riding a bicycle.
The pedaling is optional, and it adds range to the vehicle it recharges the batteries. So your pedals aren't connected to the wheels. So the pedals don't make the car go like in a bicycle. The pedals make the bicycle go. In this, the pedals make a generator go to recharge the battery.
Rich received a $50,000 grant from Minnesota State University Mankato to help build this prototype. It is on display outside the Echo Experience at the State Fair.
Anybody turn some heads with that one?
Yeah, kind of neat.
Coming up, a new school year and new ways to learn at Hennepin Technical College.
We'll talk with the school's president coming up next. And then later in sports, a promising Champlin Park football team faces a big challenge against defending state champ Eden Prairie.
But first, it's a look at your AccuWeather forecast. As students at Hennepin Technical College get down to business, the school is offering several new courses this year because the community and businesses asked for them. Here's Mike with the president of Hennepin Tech.
Thanks, Alex. I'm with Cecilia Cervantes, the president of Hennepin Technical College. And Cecilia, thanks so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Michael.
The college has come up with some new and interesting courses this year. Let's talk about a couple of them. First of all, Spanish for first responders, a new course. Why is that needed?
Yes, well, we have a large percentage of Hispanics in the United States and also in Minnesota. And many of the first responders in law enforcement or emergency medical training are interacting with these individuals out in the field, those who only speak Spanish. And so they're in need of some phrases, some vocabulary in Spanish so that they can better treat patients or at least help them in whatever their health needs are.
This is a growing population and probably a growing problem for first responders.
Exactly, and they just want to be able to communicate and be able to interact with the folks that they see out in the field, whether it be, as I said, firefighters, law enforcement, emergency medical technicians.
Another class is called Line to Leadership. Not the first year for this, but now this class is expanding. What is Line to Leadership?
Line to Leadership is intended for those individuals that work in companies and factories that are actually on the line in, let's say, manufacturing, but their bosses feel that they could do well moving into supervisory roles.
And a third that you have this year is Pharmacy Technician. What is that?
Pharmacy Technician is a one-year program, and it's an entry-level program that prepares students for assisting pharmacists in pharmacies, obviously, and in working under their supervision in helping to do some of the preparation of medicine, but only under the supervision of pharmacists.
And real quickly, how did these classes come to the school's attention?
Yes, well, in the case, for instance, of the Spanish class and the line to supervision, our customized training program is constantly in interaction with business and industry, and so they hear from the businesses or from the areas like the health fields where some of the needs are, and so then they come back and develop some of these courses in order for them to be available.
You get these ideas from the community,
We
basically.
do, and business and industry, absolutely.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Cecilia Cervantes, president of Hennepin Technical
My pleasure,
College.
Michael.
All right, back to you, Alex.
All right, thanks, Mike. Still ahead, the Plymouth council member who likes to talk trash at the state fair. But first in sports, it's our final training camp report featuring the Providence Academy Lions. John Jacobson is in next.
Time now for sports and opening night for the Rebels.
Good night for Champlain Park to start, but it didn't end so well, unfortunately. Champlain Park's football team has plenty of experience and talent, and the Rebels look for big things this fall. Their opener, though, was as tough as it gets. Champlain Park ready for action against defending state champion Eden Prairie. And a great start for the Rebels in this game. Quarterback Trevor Garrison under heavy pressure, but he escapes the sack attempt and heaves it downfield to Bryce Marquard for the 31-yard touchdown. And it's a 7-0 Rebels lead. Later in the first quarter, Michael Sales scores on the short plunge, and upset-minded Champlain Park takes a 14-0 lead after the opening quarter. But it's not as much fun from there for the Rebels. Down 14-6. Eden Prairie's Charlie Venable breaks off right tackle and gets loose. Venable darts in for a 34-yard score. After a 2-point conversion, the Eagles tied up at 14 all. Champlain Park responds in a big way. Sales shows why he's one of the most dangerous backs around. He cuts back and is off to the races here. It's a 60-yard run for Sales, and Champlain Park grabs a 20-14 lead, but it turns out to be their last hurrah of the night. Eden Prairie's Dan Fisher spins at the line of scrimmage and gets into the Rebels' secondary. Fisher takes it in for the score as Eden Prairie takes the lead for good. They outscore the Rebels 27-0 in the second half for a 55-20 win. Cooper was tabbed as one of the favorites in North Suburban football this season. The Hawks and Benilde St. Margaret's hooked up in a wild one. Second quarter, Leroy Taylor takes the short pass, breaks a tackle, and he gets by the defense for a 67-yard touchdown. Cooper takes a 16-7 halftime lead on turnover-plagued Benilde. The second half is a track meet. Cooper's down 28-24 until Ashante Payne breaks free on the run up the middle. It covers 49 yards, and Cooper's back in front 30-28. But Benilde makes just a few more plays. Quarterback Keaton Studsrud rips off his second long touchdown run of the night as Benilde goes in front for good, 43-36. The Red Knights knock off the Hawks, 49-42 is the final. Brooklyn Center opening at Minnehaha Academy in Tri-Metro Conference play. Last play of the first quarter, the pass tipped and intercepted by Brooklyn Center's Isaiah Collier in the end zone. He runs the Centaurs into good field position, bringing the ball all the way out to midfield. On the ensuing drive in the second quarter, the Centaurs, Harvey Wally with a touchdown pass to Amir Green to pull BC within 14-7. Third quarter, Tyrone Carter gets loose, breaks a few tackles, and he scores. Brooklyn Center ties it at 14. Later in the third quarter, the Red Hawks are on the doorstep. Keenan Bayard takes the pitch and gets in for a score here. And Minnehaha's in front, 21-14. Brooklyn Center gets the ball with 2.5 minutes left in the game, and the same score, but Aaron Williams gets the pick. His third interception of the game, and that seals the victory for Minnehaha Academy, 21-14. Providence Academy has steadily improved its football program over the years, and after last year's state playoff run, the Lions are on the cusp of being an elite team in Class 3A. Here's Jason Willow with today's training camp report.
The Providence football team isn't satisfied with last year's state tournament run. In fact, the Lions are getting ready for the season with a chip on their shoulder.
A lot of people last year, I know, think it's a fluke, had a good senior class. So our attitude is really to come out and prove that we can be state contenders again this year.
In 2011, just its 7th season playing varsity football, Providence went all the way to the Final Four in Class 3A, losing to eventual state champion St. Croix Lutheran.
We just broke down. We didn't have the depth that we needed and cramped up and injuries. But they come off the ball very hard on offense. They're one of probably the top offensive team in the state, in my opinion, and they're going to be again.
Providence has steadily improved every year since becoming a varsity program. And for the coaches and players, that's a special thing to be a part of.
Having people look at us and not really, Tri-Metro didn't, last year they didn't really know that we were going to be that good. And, we want to prove that we're not a fluke. And it's awesome to see such an improving program and being able to keep moving upwards.
The Lions are certainly built to repeat last season's success. 7 starters are back on defense, 9 on offense, including the entire offensive line and quarterback Jackson Canfield.
There he goes, you bet!
A big hole to fill, however, will be at running back, where Providence will need to replace workhorse Marshall Klitsky. A big part of that load will go to senior Christian Pieper.
I'm excited for it because I know I'm ready to be there. I've worked hard all summer, and we work hard out here every day, and I've been pushing myself to take that position, so I'm excited.
And Providence won't have to wait long for another crack at the team that ended its 2011 season. The Lions' first game is against defending state champion St. Croix Lutheran. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
That game's tonight. You can watch it on Channel 12 Saturday night at 8:30 and 11 p.m.
Ooh, thanks a lot, John. We're back in just a moment. And finally, talking trash at the State Fair.
Forget Princess K of the Milky Way. In today's garden segment, Renee Bonneau gets tips from the composting queen.
Here you go.
Perhaps more popular than a food vendor.
No meat, no bones, no fat.
And more talkative than a salesman.
All that good stuff's on the bottom.
Is organics recycling specialist Ginny Black.
Some people call me the composting queen. Would you like to use that one?
Black is at the Eco Experience building at the State Fair to coach you on composting.
You need to provide a home, food, water, and air. And those are the things that are really important.
She shows off different types of compost bins.
This is just hardware cloth. You could also use chicken wire and make a circle and just start using this.
This one she made in her garage out of pallets.
So it requires no carpentry skills whatsoever.
And this is a worm bin.
And this is really for people who live in apartments or townhomes that want to take care of just their food scraps.
Ginny's been talking about composting at the fair for more than a decade, but she says every year she still gets swamped by people with questions or comments about composting.
It always amazes me. Every year we always think, well, maybe it won't be so busy this year, and every year it's busy.
And the most common topic is dry compost bins.
People do not water their bins, so they frequently come to me and say, why do I have ants or bees or mice or snakes? So I always tell them you should be able to grab a handful of leaves and get beads of moisture between your fingers, and that's the dampness of a wrung out sponge.
Black says it feels like she's giving a mini class every 20 minutes.
I'm not sure I'll have a voice by Monday when I get through at the fair.
But it's clear she's loving every moment.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
At the State Fair, Renee Bonneau, 12 News.
That'll do it. Have a good weekend.